What is up, everyone? Happy Friday and welcome to Now, Next, and Never, our show about what's happening now, what's happening next, and what may never happen in the world of NFTs, crypto, stocks, the markets, finance, business, all the things. We got you covered. I'm Nicole Casperson, hanging out as always with my co-hosts Delana Suparu and Zaid Admani. We are twinning today. That was completely unintentional, but hey, we got the vibes going today. So Zaid, what are we looking at today? I think a lot of Bitcoin.
Yes, Bitcoin is a hot topic right now. The Bitcoin rush is on. A billionaire, Jeffrey Gundlach, also known as the new Bond King, said he would rather buy Bitcoin right now over gold. We're going to be discussing that. And speaking of Bitcoin, Ukrainian President Zelensky is legalizing crypto in Ukraine as their conflict with Russia continues. And then finally, Amazon gets the Rocky Balboa moment as they finalize their deal to acquire, not AMC, I almost said AMC, acquire MGM. And then we're going to have, I'm really excited about this, we're going to have U.S. investment analyst at eToro, Callie Cox, making her debut on the show today. We're going to be talking all things Fed.
Delana, man, Nicole and Zaid, I feel left out. What happened? I still love y'all. I still love y'all. And I'm happy for everyone that is joining us on Friday. It's Friday, so I'm in a good mood anyways. And we have so many topics that we're going to discuss and what it means for everyone that's watching, their money, their wallet, their stocks. We're going to talk about all of that. But first, make sure that you're subscribed and that you like and comment and engage in the show, as well as hit that notification button so you know every time we're going live. Because guess what? We're getting started right now. All right. First story. Bitcoin is in the headlines again. I don't think it ever left the headlines, but there's some notable things that have happened. One, we had a notable Bitcoin bull, Arthur Hayes, talk about Bitcoin price reaching the millions. We also had Bond King Jeffrey Gundlach say that he would right now be buying Bitcoin over gold. He said that for a few reasons. Right now, as we're in the rate hike cycle, we've seen a lot of the risk on assets, stocks, crypto, kind of pull back prior to this, right? And now that there's potential that they're in ranges that could be smart for some people to be buying Bitcoin versus gold. We don't know. We cannot give you that advice, but we are going to discuss that right now. Zaid, what do you think? Do you think that we're in a situation where people should be looking at their portfolios a little bit differently now that we're in a new interest rate hike environment?
Sure, but just going back to like you're talking about Jeffrey, this billionaire dude, the new Bond King, and maybe this is my sleep deprivation state talking right now, but like I don't care what he has to say about Bitcoin. Like who cares what he thinks about Bitcoin? Who cares that he's buying Bitcoin right now in the short term over gold? Like that's not interesting. I just feel like whenever these old school billionaire boomers that made money from traditional financial assets say anything relatively positive about Bitcoin, all the Bitcoin people come out and start like going crazy, start celebrating. To me, it's a non-news. To me, it's not important at all. Bitcoin has not even proved to be the inflation hedge that everyone was hyping it up to be. I know I'm coming off as a Bitcoin hater, and again, it might be because I only got 4 hours of sleep last night, but I just don't see how Bitcoin is living up to the promise of it being an inflation hedge when it's like down 20% from all-time highs. Me personally, I'm still bullish on Bitcoin, just to be perfectly clear, but like I'm buying Bitcoin and holding Bitcoin over gold in the long term. I don't hold any gold, and I hold Bitcoin, and I prefer to hold Bitcoin over the long term. That would have been a bigger statement. That would have been more interesting from Jeffrey, but besides that, like I don't care what Jeffrey has to say.
Poor Jeffrey. I mean, well, not really. I have zero sympathy. But yeah, I agree with you, Zaid. I think it's odd to just put these things in headlines because of some billionaire guy that some of us haven't ever heard of have said it, right, or is bullish on it or whatever, made some sort of claim. At the end of the day, I also think that we focus way too much on little b, Bitcoin's price. But I've always been way more interested in Bitcoin, Big B, aka the underlying tech blockchain, and what that means for society and changing the game of the financial system. So this is, to me, is like focusing way too much just on price, but I get it, right? Despite tensions in the world being more significant, the fact that Bitcoin has mainly risen since the outbreak of the war and COVID cases are spiking again, it shows that Bitcoin may be providing itself as that safe haven asset that everyone loves to call it. And with 15% of Americans owning crypto in some capacity, whether it be small or large amounts, yeah, there's obviously potential for its price movement to grow. I mean, is it going to be millions? That feels wildly extreme to me. I think crypto and Bitcoin are still in its, teenage early phases. So I think hold on, guys. Like, let's just chill out. But I don't know. You think these is just like headlines to make headlines? Because why not?
Exactly. No, I think you guys both made interesting points because the way I look at it is, if you're looking at the gold, the comparison that was used by Jeff the Bond King, it's actually gold's a $10 trillion asset right now, and the cryptocurrency universe is probably like a $2 trillion asset. So if we're talking about those comparisons, yes, I believe Bitcoin has so much room, or cryptocurrency universe in general has so much more room to grow. And I agree with Zaid. I'm buying it for the long term. People should be thinking about that way. If they're looking to kind of diversify their portfolio, that's the way I look at it personally, is I'm buying it for diversification purposes. Because I believe, obviously, based on news flow, a lot of the time the price moves based on what's happening, what's the news flow that's happening. And that's what seems to be happening right now is positive news flow. Not all of it may be correlating the price right now. Some of the information is still being distilled. But I think that people that are buying, for myself personally, I'm buying it because I believe in the long-term technology, as Nicole said. But that positive news flow seems to be increasing. And that could be a decent sign for someone that is holding right now.
I mean, yeah, that's true. It is, and again, the potential is obviously off the charts. And again, 50% of my net worth is also in crypto. But if an all-out war in Europe isn't causing a massive spike in Bitcoin prices, then the promise of it being an inflation hedge, and not just a war in Europe, but also we're seeing 8% inflation in the U.S. If that's not causing a massive spike in Bitcoin prices, causing Bitcoin to be hitting all-time highs, I just think that the original promise of it being digital gold and it being a hedge against inflation, that promise and that vision is not true. But that doesn't necessarily mean that it's not going to reach its full potential and the price is going to appreciate in the long term. But the original promise of it being an inflation hedge, I just don't see that as being true because of just what's happening right now, or what's not happening right now, as in like Bitcoin still kind of hovering around 39, 40,000.
It feels a little like something to just like make headlines just to make headlines happen a bit here.
Yeah.
But, well, we can move on to our second story, which is also about Bitcoin in a slightly different capacity. President Vladimir Zelensky of Ukraine signed the On Virtual Currency Bill into law. The bill outlines regulatory agencies' fines for violations and investor protections, allowing an open cryptocurrency market. This does seem to be what Satoshi created Bitcoin for, as a way to help sustain an economy on a global scale. And, it is unfortunate that it takes a devastating situation to prove itself. Interestingly, the bill was originally passed in September, but was vetoed by Zelensky because of the price to create a regulatory body for it. And so now, I think he feels like he needs to be the leader. They're going through such a devastating and hard time, and he's doing what it takes to, help his people navigate the war via, financial stability. And obviously we've seen all of the donations via crypto come in. So, is this a move that's truly helpful, guys? Or is there something more that could be happening?
Zaid, I want to hear what you think first.
Okay,
Zaid's got the spicy takes today.
No spicy takes. No spicy takes. I guess I just want to kind of clarify from my understanding of what I've read on this, right? So this law is not making crypto or Bitcoin or anything like that legal tender or legal currency, kind of like how El Salvador did. They actually made Bitcoin a legal tender. This is just kind of allowing cryptocurrency companies to become legally operated in Ukraine, providing some crypto holders some government protections, but beyond that, I don't see it doing anything. And again, I don't want to that's still a decent step for crypto to move forward in that direction. And Nicole, like you said, Ukraine is getting, $100 million in crypto donations so far. So the fact that they're embracing crypto makes sense. But I just don't think that this law is going as far as what El Salvador did. It doesn't mean that Ukraine can eventually adopt crypto and go in that direction, but right now they haven't quite gone that far. Unless I misunderstood the story, please feel free to correct me.
Maybe it's just like a stepping stone, right, to what's next. Delano, what do you think?
Yeah, Zaid, you're so right. That's why I wanted to hear your thoughts, because you are right. They haven't taken that full step that El Salvador did when they legalized as tender. But as you mentioned, they're taking a step, right? The step that it's now legalized is allowing cryptocurrency companies to have banks and to be able to operate is more of like saying, hey, now we are legitimizing you in a sense. And so that step, going with that step, is really, really interesting. As Nicole mentioned, actually having it be this law, this being vetoed by the president in September, and now obviously being accepted is like, okay, we see some sort of value, we're dipping our toes in, and we're starting from there. And I think every country, whether they're in crisis or they're not, is going to have to weigh where they go with cryptocurrencies, because it's not something that can be ignored. It's something that you have to see where you're going to go and maybe shift that down the line. And so it is an interesting step, but it's a step that had to be taken.
Yeah. It could also maybe open up, for the people, right? For the people that are struggling right now, it could maybe for them be like, oh, maybe this feels like a viable option, right? I mean, I can imagine there's people all over the world, right, that are not sold on crypto, and maybe when, you're in literal warfare and struggling with, your family and your finances, maybe, hearing from your president, hey, we're doing this, maybe it gives some sort of sense of like hope or that type of thing.
Yeah, I mean, maybe the fact that Zelensky is doing this, maybe more people in Ukraine that are going through war right now feel more comfortable conducting business in crypto, opening up a crypto wallet and whatnot to start doing some business in crypto. I was kind of thinking about this though, especially during a war, right? Like obviously we've seen the benefits, we've seen the videos of people like buying things and conducting business because of crypto in Ukraine, but I guess some of the downsides to me that I thought, and I don't really have an answer for this, is like what happens if like your phone dies, right? I mean, these people are going through a devastating thing. They're getting bombed all the time. What happens if you can't charge your phone? What happens if you have no power? Like you are kind of stuck there. You can't do anything as far as like do any crypto transactions because you don't have your phone. Your phone's dead or your phone breaks or whatever. And on the same thing, what happens if you don't have access to the internet? Like you need the internet to do crypto transactions. I was just kind of thinking about that, like there is some like risk when it comes to using crypto in a time of war from just having access to basic infrastructure like power and internet.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah,
all valid points.
Exactly, and there's some people working on the internet portion, right? That was a good point on your part, but there are some companies and startup companies that are working on the internet portion to allow access to, even if you're in a place that has a disruption, and just the power portion, that is something that's actually. If you lost power, I think crypto's like last thing on your mind in general, but it's like a lot of issues there. But there are some areas that are potentially will be able to work on those disruptive items.
Yeah, no, absolutely right. So I'm sure we'll be talking about this for weeks to come. Moving on to a story that I thought was very interesting. Amazon has closed their acquisition of MGM for $8.5 billion. When this deal was originally announced a couple years ago, there was talks of this might not get approved by regulators, but European regulators did not challenge the acquisition, and the FTC has hasn't challenged the acquisition yet. To me, the interesting story here is that are we going to see more consolidation in the streaming world, right? We've already started to see it with just a couple years ago with Disney buying 21st Century Fox for, $70 billion, and they did it to beef up their library before they launched Disney+. We also saw it with the merger between Discovery and Warner Media, and there's talks that HBO Max is going to swallow Discovery+. What do you guys think? Are we going to see more? I mean, is this what's going to happen now? We're going to see more consolidation in the streaming space? Delano, what do you think, man?
Yeah, Zaid, I think we are. One, because really what you need in this space, obviously, is content. Where you're going to get it, you can get it from the studios. You can originally make your own content. You can license. But, that plan for all these big streaming platforms to buy is the only way you can do it. If you look at Netflix, what they're doing, they're actually doing it from all variety of ways. They're buying smaller gaming platforms, big gaming studios. They're doing so many things to increase their content variety. Because I was thinking about it, I was like, what's better, to have one big hit show or just have a variety of shows or content that people will go to and just literally be searching on your platform all the time? When I think about it, when I'm bored and don't know what to watch, I'm just literally on Netflix searching, what kind of cool, crazy documentary do they have today? What am I going to learn about cats or dogs? I don't know. Tigers? I don't even know. But I'm going to find it there somehow. And if you think about it, last year marked the first time that major streaming platforms ordered more content overall than traditional linear networks and cable. So that's a crazy stat to me. I think they're going to eat up content. They're going to keep buying. Nicole, I'm curious to hear what you think on this because I think it's an interesting strategy, but we'll see who it works out for the best.
Yeah, Amazon has had like, for me, I'll give it like a C plus content really. And when you compare it to HBO, you compare it to a Netflix, right? So it makes sense to have the merger. I mean, now they have access to what, like thousands and thousands of additional content. So Amazon here is clearly, ready to play some chess in the streaming competition by claiming territory in Hollywood and not just, bringing on live sports and kind of making that their only bread and butter. But yeah, otherwise, I mean, it makes sense. Content is king, as we all know. And so if Amazon wants any chance to compete with a Netflix, or an HBO, then yeah, they're going to have to step up their game because while I like original hits like Borat's subsequent movie film, that was awesome, I don't know if it compares to like some of the really like hard-hitting, TV shows and like just like cult following films that happen via an HBO or Netflix.
Agreed.
Yeah. All right. So that does it for our top stories. I'm so excited to introduce Callie Cox, who is joining us today. She is the U.S. investment analyst at eToro, who gets paid to think hard about the markets, and her weekly newsletter, The Bottom Line, is about everything from marketing like a top pro, or markets like a top pro, to stocks. It's basically the hottest financial guide you can get your hands on. So, to start, hey, Callie. Everyone say hi to Callie.
Hey, so good to be here.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, so happy. I know. At least you're not wearing burnt orange as well, so we have some sort of like evenness here now. Thank you so much for balancing out the colors. Okay, so the Fed hiked interest rates this week, causing mortgage rates to rise above 4% for the first time since 2019. Yeah, the Fed did, things this week. Break it down for us. Is this something that we need to be concerned or not concerned, or yeah, what's going on? Help.
Yeah, so look, everybody is making out rate hikes to be this big emotional, like turn of the century kind of event. But, in reality, the Fed changes policy quite a bit. So the Fed exists basically to balance inflation with growth. And right now, that balance is completely out of whack. I mean, inflation is at its highest point in about 40 years. So that's why the Fed is hiking rates. It's intentionally kind of stepping on the brakes just to make sure that even if it costs a little bit of growth, we can get that inflation under control.
Yeah, that's such a good point, Callie. And for something that I always think about as a money manager and investor is my stocks, Callie. What's going to happen to my stocks if we're raising the rates? We still have some issues. We have potential lockdowns over in China. We know that rate hikes, when they're announced, or if they go off plan, when the Fed says, hey, we're going to be a little bit more aggressive with easing our monetary policies, things can get shaky in the market. Are we being too aggressive right now? We did one rate hike. They're planning for 6 more. Is this too aggressive in our fragile state that we're in with the Fed's current plan, Callie?
Yeah, that's the big question, Delano. It's the $1 million question. A lot of people are thinking about it. And right now, the data does show that the economy could handle a little bit of stress here. I know there are a lot of confusing things happening right now. I mean, I feel very confused and overwhelmed too. But, the data still looks strong. And as long as we can sacrifice a little bit of spending, a little bit of demand to keep inflation down, the Fed thinks it's a good balance. I mean, as for the market, I just want to point out that we are seeing a pretty strong market, strong earnings, again, strong economic data. So, maybe we can take a little bit back in the short term. We have a little bit of short-term risk, take it back. So, maybe we can establish a durable economy long term.
Hey, Callie, thanks for joining the show. I had a quick question. So Nicole mentioned that interest rates for mortgages are at more than 4% now, first time since 2018, 2019, and the Fed is going to continue raising interest rates for the foreseeable future. Does that mean that mortgage rates are going to keep rising as the Fed continues to raise rates?
So in a vacuum, yes. And of course, again, I don't know what the future holds, but when the Fed hikes its rates, those higher rates make their way throughout the financial system, directly or indirectly. So as rates go higher, we could see mortgage rates go higher as well. Although I hate to say that as a millennial who knows a bunch of millennials who are looking for a house right now. It's a tough market out there.
Yeah, we have rising housing prices, and now with rising mortgage prices. I mean, I was just looking at the numbers recently, right? I bought my house for around $375,000 last year, and I was able to lock in 2.99%. But if I got that same mortgage now with a 4% interest rate, it would have been an extra 200 to 230 bucks a month more. So like that obviously has a massive impact. So yeah, it's a tough market right now for housing, and I wonder if what this will do to the housing market. I'm not asking you to make a prediction. I'm just kind of thinking out loud here. I did have a fun question for you, though. Now with the Feds raising interest rates, at least for the foreseeable future, what do you think happens first? Do you think that Jerome Powell, with his awesome style, goes on Dancing with the Stars first, or do you think that the Fed will cut interest rates?
Oh man, well, I don't think we're close to the Fed cutting interest rates anytime soon. Inflation is just really high for that. And, you know, Jerome Powell's kind of a celebrity right now.
Yes.
I think like 140K people watched the live stream of the press conference on Wednesday.
Oh my
And that's
God.
basically
That's
like what Dancing with the Stars gets every episode, right? I mean, it might be a little off, but
Jerome Powell needs to launch a glasses line or something. Like this guy, after he retires,
I know.
he's going to have a great career. I can't wait to see it.
Maybe he'll
You
be
know,
a
if the Fed
content
doesn't
creator.
work out, he has a career as an influencer or a deal
Yes.
celeb. I think we can agree on that.
We need to get him on the show.
Oh my God. I know. Maybe by then he'll come. All right, bringing it back a little bit. Why are folks are probably looking at tech stocks and crypto holding up during this situation? So why is it holding up well against this decision?
Yeah, so this is the interesting part. So you're right, tech stocks and crypto and other high-risk assets are holding up pretty well after the Fed, pretty much insisted that it's going to fight inflation by hiking rates several times this year. And if you think about it, high-risk assets tend not to do as well when rates are moving higher because higher rates discount future growth, and many of those assets trade on future growth. So, we're looking at this and we're seeing a market that maybe thinks the Fed is going to flinch a little bit. I mean, this Fed is known for being very flexible, very gradual, and it's basically saying, nah, I'm not going to do that this time. I am serious about raising rates. And the market is like, LOL, man, I don't think this is actually true. Like, if growth slows down a little bit, we know that you're going to take like a very light touch to things. And honestly, that's what you want the Fed to do. You want it not to be stubborn. You want it to be flexible. So we think that the market's interpreting it in that way. Maybe the market knows something we don't, but it's just very weird. You're right.
The Fed, flexible like we may see Jay Powell on Dancing with the Stars. Maybe he has some secret flexibility that we don't know about. Anyways, thank you so much, Callie. That was so helpful. I feel like there's just so much to learn and so much to unpack. And, it's not, they just thank you. You're like just a genius at this. So appreciate it. I know I just learned a lot even in the short time with you. So please come back on the show sometime. Anyone else? Yeah. Anyone else have any burning questions? Yeah. Or are we ready for Now Next Never?
Thank you, Callie.
Thank you,
we are
Callie.
ready for Now Next Never.
All right. Thanks again, Callie. Everyone say bye. Bye. Thank you. I know. I do hope she comes back soon. Okay. So Now Next Never, the headlines that you should still be paying attention to, even if they didn't make the top of the show. Delano, what's happening now?
Right now, Nicole, is something really, really interesting. I deal with a lot of people as a financial planner, and one of the things that a lot of people focus on is their credit score. And so guess what? Tens of billions of medical debt is soon to be removed from credit reports. The 3 biggest credit reporting bureaus and agencies are going to remove these bad marks on reports, which could potentially boost scores for a lot of people. They're thinking of doing this July 1st. And I think this is an incredible, interesting move. One, because I know I talked to a lot of people, a big thing that they have is the credit score holds them back from, one, buying a house or getting a decent interest rate on their mortgage. And this is something that can affect and help people right now in the near term, because a lot of these people had what came out of hard times and they got into some medical debt. They got something that was just an unfortunate circumstance, and this could boost scores. This could help people out. It's a good thing to do right now.
Some great news for a Friday. That's awesome.
Yeah, seriously, that was so helpful. I love having so many professionals on this show. It's so great. I get to learn while we do it. All right, I'm up next. So, top executives at big tech firms like Google and Meta could face some jail time if they don't comply with a strict new online safety bill that was introduced by the UK Parliament on Thursday. If this law is approved in the UK, it might give US lawmakers a roadmap to make life a little bit more difficult for big tech executives and companies. So that's something to pay attention to next. See what happens there. Wish I had something more fun to share on a Friday. Nicki Minaj is also the rapper with the most #1 in US iTunes history, surpassing Drake, just to get it a little bit more fun there. Anyways, Zaid, what's never happening?
Yeah, speaking of the UK, we're talking about the University of Kentucky. They lost yesterday in the March Madness opening round. #2 seed University of Kentucky lost to the #15 seed St. Peter's. I'm a huge sports fan, you guys already know that. And this is why, tying it back to investing, this is why the NCAA makes $1 billion every single year on the March Madness tournament. We see drama like this. You can't script this stuff. This is why people watch, and this is why March Madness is a huge business and will continue to be a huge business. My team, Texas, is playing today. I'll be watching March Madness all day today, all day this weekend, and I'm just excited for the drama.
I feel like I have FOMO because I do not participate.
You're missing out. You're missing out.
You internet, don't judge me, okay? But I participate in a lot, but that's one that I'm missing out on. All right, maybe I'll think about it. I'll look into it. March Madness sounds fun. Okay, well, that does it for our show today. Thank you all so much for tuning in. Thanks for sticking with us through, you know, all of the things, all the hurdles. But you know, we had a lot of fun. It's Friday. Have the best weekend. Thanks again to Callie for joining us. And don't forget to like, subscribe, comment below. Let us know all of your thoughts. But otherwise, have a restful, fun, and awesome weekend. We'll see you Monday.
Peace.
Bye.